Am I the a-hole for unintentionally ruining my sister's marriage by catfishing her husband? If your woman's intuition is telling you something's wrong, it's probably right. Did you just roll your eyes at me? Oh my gosh, we're about to start a fight over here over chocolate croissant. He was definitely being petty. Honestly, I'm here for it. Hey guys, today we are heading into a bunch of new stories from Reddit. And if this is your first time diving into Reddit stories with us, we're looking at a lot of Am I the A-hole Reddit stories. Basically, strangers on the internet are posting stories asking for your advice and wondering if maybe they're in the wrong or if they took things a little bit too far. Now we're here to laugh, maybe judge a little bit, and dive into some heartwarming or heartbreaking stories. Today's theme is if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. Now, someone's getting caught, and we don't know whether it's OP or friends or family. So let's get into it. So, our first story is from the subreddit aita. Am I the a-hole for unintentionally ruining my sister's marriage by catfishing her husband? I'm at a loss here and I need some perspective. I'm 27 years old, female, very close to my sister, Anna, 32-year-old female. She's been married to her husband, Mark, 34-year-old male, for 4 years and I've always admired their relationship. Mark is charming, funny, and everyone in the family loves him. But I've always had this nagging feeling that something was off. It started with small things. Mark making subtle, suggestive comments about my appearance when Anna wasn't around, or messaging me late at night to talk about random stuff. I brushed it off as him just being friendly or maybe a bit tipsy. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it and potentially ruin my sister's happiness over something that could just be my paranoia. Mm, mm. I am going to do a quick judgment, maybe a little bit of detective work here and say, I don't think it's just Mark being a little bit tipsy, maybe just accidentally or just being a little bit too friendly. I mean, come on. I feel like there's an unspoken rule. You can definitely be close with your sisters or siblings or family members, significant others, but you can't be too close. You know, there's still like a boundary of what's appropriate. And I get if you're gonna make small talk, that's fine. There's so many things to make small talk over: the weather, current events, the news, more weather. I don't know. But I wouldn't say making suggestive comments about your wife's sister's appearance a small talk type of thing. And I'm curious as to what kind of comments is he making? Is he saying things like, "Oh, you're looking hot in that top," or is it more like, "Oh, cool pattern or print on your shirt"? There's a big difference. And the whole messaging late at night to talk about random stuff, that's weird. Go talk to your wife. Mark, what are you doing? I'd say I'm with OP so far because if your woman's intuition is telling you something's wrong, it's probably right. But let's see. OP says, last month, things escalated. Mark texted me asking if I wanted to meet up for drinks without Anna knowing. That was the last straw. I didn't want to confront him directly because I knew he'd deny it, and I'd end up looking like the bad guy. So I came up with a plan, one that I'm regretting now. So let me get this straight, OP. You came up with a plan to avoid direct confrontation so you wouldn't look like a bad guy, but then you came up with a plan that was even worse. Is that where this is going? Okay, she says, I created a fake social media profile of a girl I'll call Emma. She was a typical attractive girl with interests that I knew Mark was into. I followed him and he followed back immediately. I started liking his posts, commenting casually, and within a few days, he slid into Emma's DMs. Long story short, over the span of a few weeks, Mark was flirting heavily with Emma. He was sending explicit messages telling her how unhappy he was in his marriage and even suggested they meet up. I was disgusted but also heartbroken for my sister. I screenshotted everything and saved it as proof. I debated for days on what to do, but eventually I decided I couldn't keep this from Anna. I showed her the messages. At first, she was in disbelief, accusing me of trying to sabotage her marriage. But once she calmed down and really looked at the screenshots, she broke down. Anna confronted Mark, who denied everything at first, saying someone must have hacked his account. But when Anna mentioned Emma by name, he went pale and admitted to everything. He said he was just bored and curious, but swore he never actually cheated on her. I feel like this whole story was a roller coaster of cliches so far. I love that at first, when Mark was confronted, Mark is just going to double down and say, no, 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 no. Someone must have hacked me. Okay. Why is it that when someone's caught, when it's anything related to cheating or even celebrities and social media related, everyone says they're hacked? I mean, the first thing I'm thinking is, first off, what is your password? Is it something like password 123, the most common passwords ever? Or is it like your birth date or something? How is it so easy for everyone to just get hacked? You know, I heard that most hackers, in order to actually hack into your account, they have to have some information as to your identity or your login, right? They can't just magically, in the movies, how they pull up their screen and they type a bunch of things and there's green digital text and all of a sudden, bam, they're in your account and they have access to everything. So I just feel like the whole hacking excuse is such a flimsy defense. But of course, once the name drop happens, Emma, I know you've been talking to Emma, he fesses up. What kills me is that he actually goes for I was just bored and curious and I won't actually cheat. I think that's cheating. No, you're you're having explicit sexual messages with someone that isn't your partner. That's cheating. Like you might not have gone and jumped into bed yet, but it, is that not already cheating? I don't know. And the whole bored thing, why is being bored and curious supposed to help your case? Sorry, babe. I was just sending these texts because I was bored. As opposed to what? As opposed to intentionally wanting to pursue a romantic, happily ever after with someone else? Like, hello? Although I have to say one thing. I have mixed feelings about the whole catfish scheme because Anna says, oh wait, no, not Anna. Anna's a sister. OP says that she's been go- doing this whole profile for weeks. So I'm assuming she's probably pretending and playing the bit, to catch Mark in the act. But she's been messaging for weeks. Is this not a little awkward and cringe? In my opinion, would it have not been enough evidence for her to just say, like maybe after the first few days or after the first kind of sexual message, to show it to Anna, the sister, and say, look, I catfished Mark, your husband, and he thinks I'm some other woman, and this is what he sent. Is that not enough? Like, how long was this going on? I'm a little bit like cringing at the whole plan, but I guess that worked out. I guess. Let's see. So OP says, now Anna's staying with me and she's filed for a divorce. My family's in chaos. My parents are furious at me for meddling and blame me for breaking up their marriage. They say I should have just minded my own business and let Anna figure things out on her own. Even Anna, despite being grateful that I told her, sometimes looks at me with a sadness, like I'm the one who brought all this pain into her life. Mark has been sending me angry messages, blaming me for ruining his life and calling me a manipulative bee. Part of me feels guilty, like I shouldn't have gone as far as I did, but the other part of me is relieved that Anna knows the truth. So, am I the a-hole for creating a fake profile to expose my sister's husband? No, I don't think you're an a-hole for, I guess, coming up with the plan and acting on the plan. I don't think you're an a-hole because you are motivated in helping your sister find out the truth. I feel for the sister too because it's very normal, not that's justified, to kind of be pissed at the person who brought you the bad news. Like it's not their fault, but you kind of emotionally maybe knee-jerk reaction is to just be pissed at the messenger, you know? I do not agree with the parents because clearly Anna was nowhere near close in figuring it out on her own. Seems like Mark hit it well. I'm confused though because why didn't OP just go to the sister and ask her or maybe say, look, your husband's been making really weird comments at me. So I just want to let you know, and put the onus on maybe your sister and give her the chance to confront the situation first. Because OP just went full on into detective mode, which is, I mean, it worked out, but at the same time can also probably feel a little bit invasive to Anna. So I can see that perspective. I don't think you're an a-hole for quote unquote ruining the marriage because you didn't ruin it, Mark did. But I think the approach definitely was more on the aggressive side. I don't know. Do you think Opie was too much for jumping straight to like detective investigation like mode?
I'm somewhat conflicted about it.
Ah.
Even though it kind of worked out at the end, I guess. At the same time, I think she should have stopped at initial Mark's messages.
I think it would have been enough if she made the profile and then the fact that Mark slid into her DMs and said anything would have been good.
I mean, I wouldn't even go as far as making another profile because that is, I think that in itself is taking another step, which I don't think she needed to take.
Yeah.
I think she should have stopped at where Mark was contacting her, but I don't know if it's OP's
Place, yeah.
place yet
It's
to do it.
hard.
Yeah,
Because I feel for OP, like, oh, you don't want your sister to be hurt and not know the truth. But then if your sister is the type to be in denial, which she was, Anna was in denial, and Anna was like, no, no, no way. And then after reading the evidence, she's like, oh, shoot. So I get it. It's a tough place to be. Tough place to be. Let's see what the comments say. First comment from Rich at 1642. Not they you didn't force him to take the bait. That's on him. I agree. I mean, ultimately, the biggest a-hole in the whole situation definitely is Mark. Like, I don't think OP's in the wrong. I just feel like she could have approached it maybe differently. But you know what? She got the evidence. She got the evidence. Another comment from Pretend Base 3590. Not the a-hole. He should have acted right in the first place. He's only pissed he got caught. True. True. OP says, exactly. He keeps abusing me and threatening me over text. Oh my. Like, if Mark sounds like he's going to do something physical, OP, definitely let your family know and potentially seek security or help for yourself in terms of safety. So, there is no update to this story. I mean, it is only 2 days old. I don't think ultimately, okay, this hasn't been categorized yet. Most people are saying not the a hole, and I would agree with that. I don't think OP's a hole. However, OP, you're good. I cannot believe you went straight to creating a whole social media profile. You got the whole thing down. Kudos to you for your detective work. I probably would have been a little bit gentler, I think, with the approach, but at the end of the day, at least you protected your sister and gave her the truth. So I hope things work out for you. You know what this reminds me of? There is, I don't know if the TikTok still exists, but there is an account that of this girl who's literally will tell people, or she made a video posting, hey, I'll slide into your man's DMs to test him if you want me to. So her whole account was all about exposing cheaters. So people would send in their boyfriends or husbands or partners' accounts and say, hey, can you message him and see if he does anything or see if he takes the bait? And so she would agree. And some of them didn't, but many, many of them did. And so then she would make videos and post and expose them. And then the girls asked her to do it. So then they would be like, oh, thank you so much for doing this. Now I know.
in this case, I don't see anything wrong with it because it's their partner that asked for it.
Yeah. Like the
In
person
this
in the
case,
situation.
I mean, yeah, we can, here we have an outcome, right? And the outcome is, I would say, overall
Good.
good,
Yeah.
right? The outcome
Yeah.
is good. So you can say, oh, the ends justify the means. But what if it didn't turn out?
Yeah.
What if something went wrong or it just turned ugly? Or I'm still leaning towards that maybe the OP shouldn't have gone as far as she did. I think she probably should have told her sister.
First, and then maybe set up
Yeah,
like a
and
sting.
yeah, if they're
Yeah.
both okay with that.
I think it's complicated. I have mixed feelings too. Because, okay, I have a sister too, right? So putting myself in OP shoes, I think I would have sat my sister down first and tried to lay out, kind of let her know, look, these things happened and this is why I'm worried about you. Maybe he's not who you think he is. And I would try to approach it first. And if she was completely like, no, 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 I would say, hey, look, I let you know. If you want, we can set up like a fake pro together because maybe I can work with my sister and she would be the one who's like the fake profile, you know? And so that she's in control of the situation. I just feel weird cutting the sister out of that whole evidence gathering portion, I guess. That's where my conflict is. But at least it's a happy ending. Question mark. I say happy because it's kind of like, it feels so weird. OP's in a bad place. So I hope things work out for you, OP. Now, our next story is our wild pick. Now, if you haven't tuned into an episode before, wild pick is just that a story that stood out to me because it's a little bit out there, a little bit chaotic, sometimes a little silly, and I wanted you guys to hear it. So let's get into this one. This story is from the subreddit "Am I the A-hole?" It is from the user Large Maximum 8191, and shout out to my foodies because I think you'll enjoy this one. OP says, "Am I the a-hole for telling my husband correct information about a croissant? I, 38 years old, brought my husband, 45 years old, home a chocolate croissant. I told him, quote, 'I got you a chocolate croissant.' When he looked in the bag, he said, 'I thought you said you got a chocolate croissant. This isn't a croissant.' I told him that's what the bakery and many people call a chocolate croissant, and he could Google to confirm. He said, 'A croissant is a specific shape. This is not a croissant.' I Googled chocolate croissant and showed him that what he had in front of him was considered a croissant. He then became very angry, yelling and accusing me of, quote, 'always having to be right.' He said that his criticism was about the croissant and not me, and the fact that I had to prove him wrong was a deep failing in me and that I'm just like my father. I told him in no way did I take anything personally, and I didn't want to prove him wrong, just share information about what is considered a croissant, as he was so firmly against the information I told him. This ended in him yelling more, storming off, and closing the door to our bedroom. Nothing inside me wants to prove him wrong. Also, if he didn't consider a croissant, even though others may, that's fine." Okay, so you probably know why I chose this story. One, I am a croissant enjoyer myself. Not a chocolate croissant, but I do like regular butter croissants. My first question is, what exactly does this croissant, this infamous chocolate croissant or non croissant look like? And also, perhaps you guys have bigger problems than croissants because it felt like the croissant was like this metaphor for bigger problems in your relationship. I mean, the whole, why do you have to always be right and prove me wrong? And the whole, stop taking this personally. You guys are taking this very personally. It is a croissant, okay? And the whole, you're just like your father. You know, there are many movies and scenes that come to mind when I hear the phrase, you're just like your parents, you're just like your father. Ugh, it's a very cliche thing we hear all the time, like, oh, doomed to be like our parents type of trope, right? But I have never heard it in the context of a couple fighting because of a chocolate croissant. I am dying. And also, the fact that your partner is saying, the fact that you need to prove me wrong is a deep failing in you. There's something about that phrase that cuts deep. Like, it's one thing to be like, why do you have to be such a know it all? You know? And then saying, this is such a deep failing in you. Like, it expresses extra disappointment. I don't know. I feel worse. Like, if M had told me, why do you have to be right all the time? Like, I would be like, I don't have to be right all the time. I'm just right a lot of times. It can be silly or it can be just more straightforward, like a little jab between two people that are close. But if M were to tell me there's a deep failing in you, and we're talking about croissant, I'd be like, maybe there is a deep failing in me. Like, oh my gosh, is there a problem? So let's see. Let's see. OP says, on my side, I know having someone say, well, actually, must be annoying sometimes. I could have just ignored him and let him believe whatever he wants. Who really cares what he believes a croissant is? But I am someone who likes facts and sharing opinions, and I'm happy to be wrong and learn something new. Am I wrong to assume his response would be, quote, "Oh, cool, I didn't know that," instead of lashing out and accusing me of needing to be right? Am I the a hole for sharing correct information about a croissant? Um, First off, what exactly is a chocolate croissant? You have me questioning what a chocolate croissant is. When I think chocolate croissant, I think flaky pastry s- in a shape like a seashell. It's like in that seashell shape. And maybe there's either chocolate filling on the inside or there's some sort of chocolate glaze on top. I am not a pastry chef, but I have years of experience watching pastry competitions, which basically makes me somewhat of a pseudo judge, I think. In my opinion, I think that's the definition of a chocolate croissant. What do you think?
I don't know. When I picture chocolate croissant, I imagine a regular croissant with chocolate covering,
That's what I thought.
right? Maybe like, what do you call that? Crescent shape? Crescent?
Does it have to be crescent shaped?
Not necessarily, but that's what the model croissant. That's what I imagine seeing. I don't think that the croissant was really. It's kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. I think the about the croissant. I think what's the context for bringing a single chocolate croissant? Why did OP decide to get a single chocolate croissant for her husband?
I Opie doesn't say. Opie just starts this out by saying, "So I brought my husband a croissant, a chocolate croissant," and basically she says she's the one that opens up and saying, "Hey, I quote." She has a lot of quotes here. She goes, "I got you chocolate croissant," and he's like, "I thought you said you got me a chocolate croissant. This is not a croissant." And then that's where it all spirals.
See, like if I take it to the extreme, the OP, well, I learned what the chocolate croissant is, and this is technically a chocolate croissant, but looks like nothing what I would say a regular person would think a chocolate croissant would look like. And let me kind of show my husband or teach my husband a lesson about chocolate croissants.
Oh,
I mean, not that she did that, but
is that the context that set this off? It could be.
that would be a little bit wild. But if she just randomly decided to get her
What?
husband a chocolate croissant,
And he's just flipping out.
yeah, then I think that's strange. But I think it goes past that. To be honest, I don't think this is chocolate croissant is just yeah, as I
The
said, the
thing
straw
that
that broke the camel's back.
it was like the final thing, the final
Yeah,
straw. I agree with
I'm
you.
also not justifying husband's response. That seems very strange. But at the same time, I think there's something more to it.
I definitely think there's something more to it. I do think he was out of line for things he said.
Yeah.
In this, right? In this specific situation. Because, dude, your wife just got you a chocolate croissant. The normal response would have been, thank you. I don't think most people would dissect like, you've lied to me, woman. Like, this is not a chocolate croissant. Most people wouldn't go there. I definitely think there's something else, and I would advise you, OP, to maybe have another conversation. Maybe avoid the whole croissant conversation so you guys don't spiral into the same discussion. But maybe ask him if there's something wrong because it seems like the things that he's saying, it's not about the croissant, it's about something in your relationship. So, although I will say there is some acknowledgement on your part, on OP's part here, because she's like, look, I know having someone say, well, actually is annoying, but and then she kind of says that she likes facts and sharing opinions. Here's the thing though. Are you the type of person to always share your facts and opinions even when they're unsolicited and even when they're unwanted? Because that could make you into an a-hole, OP. Not in this specific situation, but I mean in general. Like if this is something that you and your husband have had friction over, maybe this was not the best time to kind of correct him on the croissant situation. I don't know. Although now I do have questions for myself on what a chocolate croissant is. Now, let's see if the comments will answer. Maybe shed some light on that. First comment from Ditto Head Forever. I love it. They have a tagline underneath their username called Commander in Cheeks. See, I don't know how you get these taglines. I see some of the Reddit commenters, they have like a little grayed out tagline. And it's usually something a little bit witty, a little bit on the cheek, on the nose. So, curious about whether they just earned that through responses or what. So, Ditto Head Forever says, you're not the a-hole. The appropriate response to, I got you a croissant is, awesome, thank you, not a lecture about semantics. In response to, he then became very angry, yelling and accusing me of always having to be right. Wow, what an overreaction. He's the one who insisted upon correcting your words. Is he the only one permitted to correct people? True, true, true. Technically, husband did open up the whole discussion about the whole what exactly is the existence of a chocolate croissant first. Another comment from Another comment from Secret Spicy Princess. Not the whole, but as a person living in a country where pastries are taken very seriously. For me and many people, a croissant is a specific, buttery, flaky, chrysanthemum shaped goodness. Haha. And what you refer to as chocolate croissant must be a pain au chocolat. I don't speak French, guys, so I'm sorry if that was bad. That was just my guess. Commenter also says, that technicality aside, I don't see why that reaction though. He could have just said, thank you so much for thinking about me and bringing me this delicious treat. tomato, right? Doesn't matter how you call it, it's delicious. Ah, okay. So we have a response for OP. I understand it would have officially been considered a pain au chocolat. Hart, living in English speaking Canada, pain au chocolat are often called and sold as chocolate croissants. If his response was, I would call this pain au chocolat, I would have said, yeah, totally. But I got stuck on confirming that geographically they are also known as croissants despite their shape. I am very pro communication. He is very anti communication. It's something we need to work on for sure. Thanks for your feedback. All right, before we move forward, I need to look up what a pain au chocolat is versus a chocolate croissant
So,
because I did not know that's another thing. Okay.
so what did the OP get the husband? I'm still confused.
So OP agrees in her response to the comment. She says that technically she did bring the husband a pain au chocolat, not a chocolate croissant.
Okay,
But
what is that?
But in Canada, they call pain au chocolats chocolate croissants. But I guess if you're in France or somewhere where they take pastry seriously and more technically correct, it is a pain au chocolat.
Yeah, but they do live in France.
No, they don't. They live
Do
in,
they live in French Canada?
yes. Oh, okay. I've seen these before.
What does that look like? I'm very curious.
Okay, fine. Okay. It's a little different. It's a little different. I'm showing Em a picture of the pain au chocolat. We've seen these.
Seen
Like,
something similar, but it's not a crescent shape.
no. But it has the flaky layer. So it has the texture and it has the taste of a croissant, but it doesn't look like a croissant or a typical
Mm.
croissant. Well,
Mm.
depending on who you ask. But it has chocolate. So, would you consider this a chocolate croissant?
I'm no expert, but at first glance, no.
See, I would call this, for the sake of ease, I would call it a chocolate croissant. Probably. Like if I got you something, I would say it's a croissant because it tastes like a croissant or chocolate with chocolate inside. Did you just roll your eyes at me? Oh my gosh, we're about to start a fight over here over chocolate croissant. I would have called this a chocolate croissant, knowing that it was technically not a chocolate croissant. I wouldn't fight you over it though. I would just say, that's what they said. Although I will say, even in America, a lot of bakeries or restaurants, whatever, they would call this a chocolate croissant, even though it's
Interesting.
incorrect. Now, okay, let me look up a actual chocolate croissant now because let me see if it's really that different. Chocolate croissant.
See, I would imagine, yeah, as I said, a regular croissant, either chocolate covering or chocolate filling inside.
Oh, okay. But look. When I Google chocolate croissant, this is what comes up. Same thing. Like literally same image, almost same image comes up.
Mm.
So that is misleading. So I think maybe it's become almost like an incorrect phrase that just kind of stuck. Like, look, this is an actual chocolate croissant, like the actual shape. Like you have the crescent, you have the kind of like the swirls.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes more sense to me. But when I think of like the traditional croissant, right? I feel like we think more like even closer like this. Like this is a better one.
Yeah, but still not. This is like too puffy.
Yeah, this is too puffy.
See, what do I know? I'm not an expert. For all we, what we think is normal is not normal elsewhere.
That's true. I would say I probably would have given up the semantics and the argument at some point after your husband says like we were in an argument, if I was in an argument with him and I got him a gift and he said and I said, okay, this is a chocolate croissant, babe, for you. And he did not respond with, oh, thanks. And instead went, this ain't a chocolate croissant. I would have been like, oh, it was labeled like that. Anyways, it has chocolate in it. I hope you like it. And I feel like our discussion would have probably ended there. I don't think either of us, though, are that into the niche linguistics correctness of a chocolate croissant. But I learned something new today, OP, thanks to you. I learned that I indeed have been calling the chocolate croissant incorrectly because those are pain au chocolat. I think. Overall, though, what's concerning to me about OP's response, I think, other than thank you for sharing your knowledge on the chocolate croissant, you said at the very end, I'm very pro communication. He's very anti communication. Is your marriage okay? I think this post, beyond the correctness of the silliness of the croissant, has me kind of wondering and worried for your marriage. Because you know what it is? It has the very undertones of he's this, I'm this, and we're polar opposites. Like there is no meeting in the middle or no connectedness. And I don't want to Dr. Phil your relationship because I don't know what's going on. All I know is that you guys were fighting over a croissant. Or sorry, pain au chocolat. But I would say if I was your girlfriend, maybe have an honest conversation to see what's really going on because you guys seem very separated for a couple who's loving enough to get each other a chocolate croissant, a pain au chocolat, chocolate pastry. Okay? Now, I got a question for you. If I got you a pastry and I called it something else, would it bother you? Like say I got you like a crepe cake, right?
Okay.
I said, "Hey babe, I got you a crepe cake." And if you guys don't know, a crepe cake is just like think crepes but in a cake form. Like it's just a lot of crepe layers in a cake. If I got you that and then you open it up and it was really just like a normal layered cake, would it bother you?
I wouldn't say so, but I would double check with you to make sure you got the right thing, or maybe they gave you the wrong item or something.
Or what if I was so insistent, like, no, 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 no. This is a crepe cake. And you could see clearly I did not get you a crepe cake. And this is like some
And you were
other cake.
looking at it and you're
Yes.
insisting.
Would you just write it out with me? Or would you just be like, okay, I need to correct you on this. Would it bother you?
Yeah, but someone bothered me if you clearly saw it was not a crepe cake and you're saying it was a crepe cake. Like, I would still appreciate that you got it for me.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think if the situation was reversed, I'd probably say the same. Like if you said you got me a mochi donut, but then you got me a regular donut, I'd be like, this is not a mochi donut. This is a donut, which is awesome. Thank you very much. But you've been lied to. So I can see the frustration from there. Like, to see something wrong, you just maybe have the urge to correct it. But Opie, sometimes I feel like there's a time place, and I hope you and your husband are able to work things out because this whole I'm communication, he's anti-comms thing, and you're back and forth over the croissant. Although, wait, hold on. Actually, I have a question. Bickering aside, did your husband end up eating it? Like, who got the croissant in the end, or the not croissant in the end? Did you guys fight over that one too? Because you only brought home one. So I'm just imagining like a second fight erupting because Ophi decides to eat the non-croissant because maybe husband's like, no, I wanted a croissant, not this pain au chocolat.
see that's why to me the whole story is a bit. I'm questioning it.
You're questioning the truthfulness, or you're questioning like whether or not it's about the croissant. Which one are you questioning?
Why would OP get her husband a single pastry?
That right there.
I mean
is the
that is
question.
fine to get a single pastry, but
Some people do that.
I mean, I don't know.
See, okay. It's funny because for me and M, right? When I get a snack, I make sure to get two. You might be thinking, oh, so that you both can have one, and oh, that's so nice and thoughtful because you wanted to get one for yourself and then one for M. It's like, I mean, thank you for giving me the credit, guys. But let's be real. It's because I'm trying to avoid a food war in the household. Because if I want to treat, I want the whole thing. Em and I are not the type to be like, here, you have half and you have half. We're kind of more like the type to be like, no, like I want the whole thing. Why do we have to share this? So, on a less romantic aspect, I too am judging OP for getting just one croissant because now who's getting it? That's my question for you, OP.
See, like, what if I asked? I don't know. What if you asked me to get a pizza or something?
Yeah.
And I brought back what's maybe, I don't know, technically considered a pizza, and it's like a, I don't know, open face sandwich or something like that. That looks nothing like a pizza, but like I would make a
tomato
point,
pie. Maybe you got a tomato
or
pie instead.
something like that, and I would claim it. Well, technically, this is a pizza. Everyone has it wrong or whatever.
I would be annoyed.
I could,
Well, I would
yeah.
be, thank you. But I would be annoyed because I'd be like, Everybody, no one else on this planet would call this a pizza. And you brought me a non-pizza, but you gave me the expectations of pizza. But I see no pizza. Oh no, am I arguing for the husband? No, I can't be on the husband's side.
No, I think it's I think we need to know the context of why
Yeah.
the croissant was brought up or brought to the husband. But in any case, husband's reaction was a bit much.
Yes. Definitely. He definitely overreacted. Okay. I want to make it clear. We're not defending husband's overreaction. Okay. We're just really honed in on the croissant debate. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that wild one. Oh, and if you did, don't forget to hit like on this video and subscribe, guys, to hear more stories. All right. Now, our next story is from the subreddit, also from Am I the A-hole? Am I the a-hole for returning my homemade wife's birthday gift to me and telling her I don't want it? I then went out and bought what I actually wanted. I feel like the last story in this one, the stories just seem so innocent, I think, at first glance. Like, they don't seem like a big deal. But then when I think about it and I hear the stories, I just imagine a full like blowout of an argument between husband and wife. Oh my. Oh my, my. Okay. Well, let's see what OP says. OP says, I need an outside opinion on this. This has been an ongoing issue that I have talked to her multiple times about. My wife makes less money than me and is the type of person who prefers to make her own gifts for people. The issue is she will do this even if the person doesn't want this. I will use myself as an example. For the past few years, she has made every single gift I've been given. I mean, that's sweet, right? I mean, first thing I'm thinking about is that's really thoughtful that your wife is making you homemade gifts. Now, OP continues, no matter what I ask for, I get a homemade gift. Doesn't matter if it's cheap or not. Last Christmas, I asked for a new few things and I got a homemade scarf. I always get her stuff she wants. I've talked to her about this multiple times. My birthday was yesterday and I asked her to give me a book. It was only $25 and I sent her the link. I opened the gift and she made some homemade bookmarks. It wasn't even the type of bookmarks I like. They're made from fabric and I like the wooden ones. I must have made a face because she asked what was wrong. I told her I didn't want these. I made it so clear about what I actually wanted, and I've talked to her so many times. I handed them back and went out to buy the book. We had a big fight when I got back. She claims I'm being ungrateful and a jerk. Am I the a-hole? Oh, we may be on different teams this time, guys, because I was so ready to be on wife's side. I was so team wife. I mean, homemade gifts, right? Usually it's very sweet, very sentimental, and the intentions are there. Like, it's the type of thing where you could even argue the intentions are physically manifesting into a product for you as a gift. But where I kind of am on the husband side here, OP side, is I think gifts are only gifts when they're wanted or they're needed or they're appreciated by the person you're giving them to, like the giftee. Where it crosses the line for me is, dude, he asked for a $25 book and he was very specific about it. And then you gave him fabric bookmarks. I think it's even worse than if she had given him a homemade scarf. Does that make sense? Because it's almost like you could tell that she knew that he's a reader and he wanted a book. And instead of going out for the book, she like pivoted and decided to pick something completely different for him. Does that make sense? Like, it's almost like on the nose. It would make me feel some sort of way. It feels almost like a passive aggressive gift. Like, hey, I know you wanted that watch. And instead of getting you that watch you wanted, I got you a timer. Like, it feels like that. Am I explaining it well? Do you get it?
I see what you're saying.
It's almost like I'd rather you be completely clueless and get me something that's so different from what I wanted than get something adjacent to what I wanted. Like something that's so close, but just not it. I'm aggravated for OP. You know what? It brings me back to the phrase. I think it's like to be loved is to be seen or to be heard, something like that. I'm close. It just feels like husbands ignored. I feel really bad because it's not even like the monetary aspect. I mean, if he was out here asking for like Dyson vacuums or, the next like biggest phone or something, the latest phone, or something really pricey, or like a trip to Greece, then I would say, hey, that's a little unrealistic. Like, I know you want it, but let's be real. Let's go back to planet Earth here. But a $25 book, is it a financial issue? Like, that's the only thing I can think of. Like, is this a financial problem? I'm confused. I don't
See,
know.
see
What's your
I
theory?
don't know. I think the $25 could be a lot to some people.
Oh yeah,
If so, and as well, OP mentioned that his wife, I guess, makes less money. So, I mean, that could be a concern there. And maybe her thinking was, well, I can't afford the book, perhaps, and I'm gonna make something that can go with the book
maybe.
together.
I mean, I can see that being the case. I, I guess my assumption was that because they're husband and wife, they have shared finances. I guess that's where I'm a little bit
Yeah,
like
but not everyone has that
confused.
though.
True. They might just
There are
keep it
people who
separate.
have keep their finances separately.
Mm. Let's see. Let's see the comments. Maybe OP will reply to something and we'll find out. First comment from appropriate art 3863. Not that she could have made the bookmarks and put them in the $25 book. That's thoughtful. I agree. I think it would be nice if, as an add-on. Let's see if maybe OP replies. Another comment from Infinite Peanut 1216. Not the whole ugh. My ex used to do this. It's not about the gift, it's about her intentionally and without remorse overriding your request. Her behavior is dismissive, and that shit will breed resentment, and resentment kills relationships. Gift giving should be about the recipient. A gift is a tangible representation of our care and appreciation of a person. It should be catered to the recipient's preferences. Hopefully, her disregard for your preferences isn't malicious, but either way, she's basically saying, quote, I know better than you, which really sucks, especially from a loved one. Sit her down and explain that you are an autonomous being with preferences and her behavior is hurtful and dismissive of you. And don't let her weasel out of it with a, oh, I spent so much time on it, blah, blah, blah. She's showing you she doesn't see you. You're not an NPC in her story. You're deserving of consideration, and this behavior is doing the opposite. I'll be honest, I agree with a lot of these comments, but I would change my mind if we know exactly what the financial situation is, because OP does add that he makes more. Let me check to see if OP actually responds with more detail on his story on any of the comments. Let's see. Oh, so OP does respond. We're gonna find out. So, in response to a comment from Orange Cubit, how disparate is your wife's income compared to yours? Does she have access to your income? Is she living in poverty while you have cash to throw around? So that's the question you had. OP says, I make about $30,000 more than her. We have shared accounts and I pay for most things. Like the mortgage, she makes about $40,000 before taxes. She has enough money to buy a $25 book. She could also just use the shared account also. Ooh, this kind of cements it for me. Oh man, I think wife is the a-hole here. I don't think OP's in the wrong. I think it's different if wife had said, "Hey, look, I want to give you a gift, not from the shared account, but from my money only, and I can't afford that right now." That's different to provide some context. But the fact that they have a shared account that she could have pulled from, and then she didn't even do that, but she still insisted on giving them bookmarks. I hate to say it, wife kind of reminds me of one of those thoughtless gift givers. The kind that's just like, they don't really care about what the recipients want, but they care more about what they want to give someone, you know? So it becomes less about the giftee and more about the gifter. I have some experience with this. So I had a family member who always sent me gifts, but how does one say this? The gifts were always so random and so out of place that they ended up becoming, I'll be honest, kind of like junk. Okay. So I would get everything from like random hand soaps. Yes, shipped across state lines, guys. Hand soap. And not even like a brand that I'm using. Like there was never a conversation of, hey, is this a soap that you would use? Is this a scent you would like? Just random brands of hand soap. And usually I'm not a fan of the scentless brand of hand soap either. Yeah, she sent me scentless, guys. And let me tell you, scentless has a scent. It's not good, at least to me. It just smells like reminds me of wax. I don't know, but like basically wax hand soap or like random used handbags. Like she would get the handbags for herself and then she didn't want them. So then I guess whatever they collected storage and she thought I would like them and she would just mail them over. It's very weird. Let me tell you, it's very weird. And I do not use those handbags now. Okay. So people might say, no, but it's a gift. You can't, you, you have to accept it with grace. And I'm like, no, a gift that's unwanted is junk. Is that controversial to say? I feel like you guys are gonna be like, no, that's so mean. Someone got it for you. Yeah. But I didn't want it, you know? So I am feeling OP's pain. It feels like he's being ignored. I'm team OP. OP, talk to your wife. Maybe there's some underlying reason, or maybe she just genuinely is a bad gift giver. That could be the case.
Right. Was there a conversation prior to that? Or okay, I guess I
So
missed that
OP
part.
says that this is an ongoing issue, that whenever he asks for something, she just hand makes something completely different.
Right. There, he's saying that's an ongoing issue.
Yeah.
But was the wife aware of that it's an issue?
I would hope so if he's talked to her multiple times.
Oh, so he has.
Yeah. He said that
Okay.
I've talked to her multiple times about this.
Okay. Okay.
And it's been ongoing for the past few years.
Mm.
Oh, man. What's weird, though, is when she wants something, OP's going to get her that exact thing. But when it's his time to get the gift, she's like, no, no, no. Handmade scarf, here you go. I have a very bad statement about this, about handmade gifts. I think people should only give handmade gifts if one, the recipient asked for it, right? Specifically. Or two, if you're just that good at your craft. Like, for example, if one of my friends is a wedding dress designer, please do make me a wedding dress. Please. You know,
Well,
but
I think you have to be careful with that.
well, yeah, with my
What if you
input. With
don't
my
like the
input.
dress?
My input, okay? Or like if you're a baker and you want to bake me a cake, yes, please. Yes, please. Like I will be your taste tester, you know? But if you are like not good at baking and you're gonna slap together something and then just be like here and it looks like someone's science experiment, I will have to gracefully decline. I'm sorry. Have I ever given you a bad gift?
No.
No hesitation. I like
Yeah.
that.
I think you're a pretty good gift giver.
Yeah. I think you are too. I think with us though, there have been gifts where I've specifically said, hey, oh my gosh, I wish I had this, or this is so useful, like a useful type of gift. And I think M's given them to me in the past. Or they're gifts that I didn't expect, but were in line with what I like, if that makes sense. So there was this trend on TikTok, right? Where I guess people would say, oh, when you're a gold girly, but he gets you silver jewelry. And some people would say, oh, like, guys don't notice that type of thing. So he probably was just trying to be nice and he got you something, right? But then there's the other side, other half of people saying, oh my God, like, is he dumb? Like, how did he not notice? Like, he doesn't understand you, or he didn't try and like get to know you to give you a gift that wasn't, in line with what you liked. What is your stance on that?
I think it's very relationship based, depending on particular relationships. Some people might know more about each other on certain topics than others.
Just like if you're saying, oh, these were really nice pair of earrings or something, or a nice ring, and it would look nice on her, and you got it for your partner. I think no matter if they're like gold or silver, it's a nice gift because there was thought. Now, where I'm a little bit like iffy, what if your partner's like very much, ew, I would never wear something, and then you got them something that they would never wear intentionally? That's weird.
I personally don't agree with these like blanket statements, though, that
Oh yeah,
this partner should do
like
this for your partner, and this should apply to everyone. And if they're not doing that, they don't care about you.
yeah,
They don't love you. I think it's foolish to say
I agree.
because everyone's relationship is different.
To each their own. Oh, I realized I didn't introduce M at all. So if you guys, this is your first time hearing M, not seeing him, but hearing him, he's my fiance. He's been dubbed by you guys as Mr. Honey Hearts or Mr. Deep Voice. So he tunes in with us on the stories. The judgment on this that Reddit said was not the a-hole. I agree with Reddit's judgment here. I don't think OP is the a-hole. I do, however, feel really bad for him because beyond the gift, I think this is similar to the other story where it's not even about the gift at this point. I mean, yes, it is, but it's also like feels like there's something else underlining here. So
Seems
I
like
hope you get that sorted out.
yeah, seems like the OP's not being heard.
Yeah. I feel bad. All right. Our last story is also from the subreddit Am I the A-hole? Am I the a-hole for leaving my brother passed out in a luxury hotel and going back to sleep? I can think of worse places to be left in while I'm being passed out, and luxury hotel does not sound that bad so far. But let's see. OP says, last month, I, 21-year-old male, went on a family trip with my parents and my brother, 26-year-old male, to a pretty high-end all-inclusive hotel. Before I dive into the story, you should know that while my brother and I get along really well, we have our moments of friction. The main issue is that he's kind of the person who lives life to the absolute fullest, which sounds great, but he tends to overdo it. Think of Barney from How I Met Your Mother, but in real life. There have even been a few times where he's called me at 4 a.m. because he has no way of getting home after changing the plans and drinking too much. There's no Uber in our city, FYI. He usually apologizes later and repays me in some way, but honestly, I've started avoiding going out with him too often because of this. Now, in a fancy hotel with unlimited drinks, it was almost impossible not to go out at night, so I went with him. Before he left our hotel room, I told him, hey, I'm just having a few drinks and heading back early. He agreed. We enjoyed some live music, had a few drinks, and by midnight, when the music ended, I reminded him that the bars closed at 2 a.m. and suggested we grab one more drink before heading back. He said sure, but after that last drink, he decided he wanted to stay out longer. I reminded him that we had family plans the next day and it wouldn't be fun being hungover, but he pretty much ignored me. So I left him and went back to the room to sleep. I okay. I don't know if you guys have watched How I Met Your Mother before, the show. Emma and I have seen the whole thing. Hate last season, hate the ending, but you know, looking past that, if you guys know, you know. I'm just imagining literally the brother being Barney Stinson. Is his name? I think. Like partying up, having the time of his life, but being so irresponsible about it. What do you mean you regularly call up your brother at 4 a.m. to pick you up because you have no idea how to get home? Are you serious? And brother is older. Brother's 26 years old and OP's 21. Usually, because of the age, I would think the situation would be reversed. I'm sorry. Like, you are too old to be acting like this, brother. Not that there's an age to having fun or drinking or anything like that, but there is an age where you need to be more accountable and responsible. This would stress me out. Oh my gosh. If I had a brother that was partying until 4 a.m. all the time and calling me, I would be asleep. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my beauty sleep. I'm not trying to be on the road to pick your drunk butt up. I'm pissed for OP. Also, I love that OP mentioned kind of the timing here so we kind of get a context. So they're drinking, they're having fun. The clock strikes midnight and OP's like, one more drink, I'm going to sleep. I love it. OP's like a Cinderella. He's had this party, now it's time to go home and get some sleep. Love that. Brother made the choice. Well, he agreed, then he pulled out of it and said, you know what? I am going to keep on partying. I can kind of see where this is headed. So let's see. OP says, fast forward to 4 a.m. and the hotel room phone rings. I wake up, notice his bed is empty, and answer. It's the lobby telling me my brother is wasted, passed out, laying down in the hallway, and had thrown up all over himself. They asked if someone could come help him. Still half asleep and pretty pissed, I just hung up the phone, disconnected it, and went back to sleep. I'm sorry, brother deserves it. And also, what is it with brother and the magic hour of 4 a.m.? Do you notice that? It's always 4 a.m. is when he calls. He rings up OP and says, hey, can you pick me up? I'm wasted. Like, for someone who's so irresponsible, he is surprisingly, you could argue, responsible about being on time all the time and being irresponsible, right? 4 a.m. on the dot all the time. That's an art. I don't think OP's an a-hole for disconnecting. Is that bad? I don't because okay, on one hand, they're in an all-inclusive resort And I'm assuming if it's high end, the security's pretty good, and the fact that it's hotel concierge or, hotel staff calling OP, I think, is it? Yes, it's the lobby, hotel lobby calling up the room and saying, "Hey, we have your brother." He's in responsible hands, I think, right? I mean, does it suck that hotel lobby's dealing with your brother? Yes. But I think OP's kind of justified in not enabling the behavior and just going, "I'm going to sleep. Good night," and actually going to bed. Now, let's see. OP says, when I woke up around 9 a.m., his bed was still empty and I had a bunch of missed calls from my parents. I called my mom and she started yelling at me, asking why I hadn't helped my brother. Turns out my brother eventually made it to my parents' room around 6 a.m., helped by two hotel staff members. Apparently, he had also broken a glass door and they were charging my parents' card for it. To make matters worse, the staff had told my parents they called our room first and someone, me, had answered only to hang up. That's savage. The hotel room was savage. Um, I don't know. I'm kind of laughing at the story to be honest with you guys, because on one hand, many questions like why did it take until 6 a.m. for hotel staff to decide to bring the brother to parents' room? They could have also easily just brought him to the brother's actual room where OP was staying at too. So I wonder what the mix up was there, unless the brother was kind of like, "Oh, take me to this room," and it turns out to be the parents' room. But am I the only one wondering how drunk he has to be to break a glass door in a state like what is he doing? I'm just imagining he's like super drunk. Maybe he's one of those like active drunks, like you get super energized and you start waving your arms around and maybe you crash through a glass door by accident somehow. Uh, Brother seems a little bit wild. Um I kind of love that they're charging it to the parents' hotel room, to be honest with you. Because, well, here's the thing, the parents don't deserve it. But what pissed me off for OP's sake is that why is his mom yelling at him? OP's not the one who broke the glass door. He's also not his older brother's chaperone. Like, aren't they both adults and isn't brother the older one? So why is it all of a sudden OP's fault? Was he supposed to kind of drag his brother up to the room and make sure he's tucked in and like, patting his back to go to sleep? Like, what's the protocol here? I will say, absolutely savage on the staff part to rat OP out in that way. That's just you could have said you rang the room and you couldn't get someone, but no, we rang the room, someone did answer, and they hung up on us. It almost feels intentional on the hotel room's part. Now, OP says, when I went to my parents' room, they tore into me for not helping my brother. What surprised me the most wasn't their anger. They didn't know the full context, but the fact that they didn't seem upset with my brother at all, even though he was the one who caused all the chaos. My parents and my brother ignored me for most of the day, and we never really talked about the incident again. Eventually, the tension faded, but I'm left wondering, am I the a-hole for leaving my brother to deal with the mess he caused? Look, automatically no for me. No. Are you the a-hole? No. And the reason why I'm saying this is because you didn't leave your brother in an unsafe situation. I mean, I guess you could argue he was unsafe to himself if he managed to somehow break a glass door. But he's an adult. He he stated what he wanted to do. You offered multiple times to try and encourage him to get himself into the room. He didn't want to do it. What are you supposed to do? Drag him by the collar? Come on. What annoys me the most about this dynamic is the parents aren't mad at the brother at all. Is this a case of the golden child? Like, brother can do no wrong. No matter what messes he does, little brother will be there to clean it up. The family will overlook it. Or worse, is this a case where, oh, you know what? That's just how he is. He's always like that. So then you overlook that behavior. I knocked the mic. You guys might have heard my angry tapping into the mic. Ah, I'm annoyed. Do you think OP is a hole?
No. Playing a devil's advocate though. I think the
Ah,
brother kind of knew how I mean the OP
yeah.
kind of knew how the brother is. And by deciding to stay in the same room together, I think he kind of accepted some of the responsibility. Not to
You
say
think
that
so?
it's gonna he's gonna be liable for anything that his brother does because he's an adult, but in some sense, kinda perhaps knew what was gonna happen.
I guess. I
Um,
mean, I see that. I
so
see that.
I would say that no, he's not an a hole, but I think he could have made his life a little bit easier if he would have answered the phone and taken care of the situation. I don't think he's obligated, but I think his life could have been easier.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. I think the bill for the glass door would have been probably avoided. The whole crazy chaos with hotel lobby trying to find out which room to put the brother in. You notice, I think he was definitely being petty. Yeah, OP was being petty. And honestly, I'm here for it. The reason why, though, is because of the context. OP basically said that his brother does this all the time and that he always calls him up at 4 freaking AM and he has to wake his butt up and then go and clean up the mess that his brother makes. I felt like this was the straw for him. This was like the whole, you know what? Not today. Hangs up, goes back to sleep. I I'm here for you, OP. Is it petty? Yeah. Is it drama? Yeah. Maybe I'm just dramatic. So Reddit has said this is not the a-hole, but let's see what some of the comments said. From Fireball XLV, do not go on any more family vacations. When asked why, then respond that until your parents will be willing to face their son's alcoholism, you will not be put in a place of responsibility for his behavior again. Because that is what is going to happen, OP. Oh, I didn't think about it, but potentially OP's brother might actually have an alcoholic problem. If he's consistently drinking until 4 a.m. to the point where he can't go home even or be responsible for himself. Okay, I see that. Oh, I am pissed that the parents are mad at OP and not the brother
Yeah,
though.
for sure. That
That's
seems
weird.
yeah very unfair.
You know what's funny to me? They're pissed that they had to do what OP's been doing forever, but for forever now. What's even crazier to me is that the brother has the audacity to go along with the parents and not speak to OP. Like, oh, he ignored OP for the most of the day. I'm like, you chose to do this. Hello? Own up to your actions at least. So another comment from Budget Baby 4055. Not that you are not his parent. He is not a child. Your alcoholic brother is not your responsibility. And yes, he's an alcoholic. His behavior proves it. He's your parent's son. He's their problem. Parents had no right to chastise you for your brother's choices. Getting drunk was his choice. He drinks enough to know he will get drunk and need help. I would tell him and your parents from now on, you will never pick him up again when he calls drunk in the middle of the night due to the way that your parents spoke to you and how you were blamed for his behavior. He's your older brother. He caused the problem and you were the one they yelled at. Nope, never again. Let your parents see what it's like to be the ones that get called over and over in the middle of the night. Let them see your brother is a disgusting drunk and maybe they will get him help. Or they, like you, will eventually get tired of his drunkenness and tell him no too. That would probably be the best thing that could happen to your brother. Now you are enabling his alcoholic drunken spells by taking care of him. He knows he can get very drunk, cause problems, and you will come get him and take care of him. You have been part of the problem. Just stop. Refuse to be criticized by your parents. Advise them of your new stance and stick to it. Brother and parents are the a-hole. I agree.
It, I especially like that the part of the comment that says that the OP is technically enabling his brother
Yeah.
because he actually is by being there to kind of clean up the mess those previous times.
I,
That's a good call. I think I initially kind of missed in my
yeah. I think it's hard, especially when you have family members who have bad habits or make bad choices consistently. They're always going to know that you're their fallback and they're always going to rely on you. Whether or not they tell you that is something else, but because you're their safety net, there's no real, I guess I want to say other than the obvious reasons, there's no real push for them to change their behavior. Like in this case, if you've always been there to clean up his mess and even the parents don't even acknowledge he did any wrongdoing here, I mean, it tells us a lot that he's probably used to this and he knows that someone's going to be there to pick up the mess, aka him, at 4 a.m. on the dot all the time. So I agree. I agree. Although very sad for OP in this situation, I think we ended on a nice note because I like that OP kind of stood his ground. And I hope you continue to do so, OP, and go a little bit further with it, maybe. Don't pick them up anymore, like the comment said. And those were our stories for today. If you guys enjoyed them, let me know in the comments which one was your favorite and what type of topics that you want to hear about next. And don't forget to like this episode and hit subscribe. Let's get us to 3K, guys. And I'll see you in the next one. Oh, wait. If you're listening to me on Spotify, don't forget to rate me 5 stars. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.